Welcome to Inspirational Journeys, everyone. My name is Ann Harrison Barnes, and today we have quite a bit to talk about in this weekend wrap up. I have several things I want to address. First of all, let me tell you guys a little bit about my writing, okay? So, I'm participating in Camp NaNoWriMo, and I am rewriting A Journey of Faith, as you will know. Well, I've gotten a little over 8,000 words. I don't know the exact word count because I'd have to look it up, but a little over 8,000 words, which is really good. And my goal was 5,000, okay? So I should have set it to 10,000 to push myself harder. And we still have one more week. So, and I've gotten up to chapter 23 redone. Well, some of them's been added, but I'm going to have to look at 23 because I'm not fully satisfied with it, and I don't know what the Lord wants me to do with that. So I'm definitely looking into that one. So that's the writing news. But there have been a lot of things going on since I've done the 30-day writing challenge, and between that and yesterday's interview with Denise Brixey, who I found out is in our Christian writing community. So thank you so much for that. And so a couple of things. First of all, I attended not my first webinar. Oh, heavens no. I attended Jen Lowry's I attended two webinars last week. Tish Williams did one on writing haiku for pets during social distancing. I don't remember if that's the exact title, but anyway, in honor of National Haiku Day, she did one for she did an inspirational haiku about inspirational webinar about how to write haiku for the pets. And I wrote the following one, and I'm doing this from memory, but I wanted to tell you guys what I wrote, and I actually wrote it wrong when I put it on the blog, but here's the haiku. On cold winter nights, down at my feet she goes, my inspiration. And that was from my first guide dog Star. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I also attended Jen Lowry's webinar about how to create a successful book launch. I think she did 7 steps and strategies. So I did that last week. And before we even did that, Jen and I were talking about doing this. She challenged us to do these webinars in the WWJs, our Writing Warriors for Jesus, which is Jen's Patreon group. And she was thinking about keeping the free Zoom account, but as she tells you on her podcast, she upgraded to Zoom Pro, the basic $14.95 a month, or $14.99 a month, excuse me, basically $15 a month. And after she did that and she set up her webinar, I was going to wait till next week to do it, but the Lord said now's the time. And because I had that extra money from freelance income that I had actually earned on a blogging job, I was able to do that. And I know the Lord will bless that. And why did I do that? For several reasons. One, to hold webinars like the one that I've got coming up that we'll talk about in just a minute. And 2, to have more people on the podcast, not just one author or one creative artist, but Annie Acorn, who has been on the podcast before, has asked me to have her and her collaborative author, her co-author, who wrote the Charlotte Kent romances, on the podcast. And now I'm able to do that. And if there are authors who would like to invite their publisher or their illustrator or their audiobook narrators onto the show to talk with me about not only their writing process, but the process of audiobook narration and how the narrators were chosen, I can certainly do that now. And I'd love to have book clubs and, discussion panels, because this way we can talk about writing. We can hold like little mini writing workshops with several people on a discussion panel. I can have several people read a book, and I'll read it with them and we'll discuss it on the podcast. If you would like to do that, let me know. My information will be in the show notes and the description. Now, for the big thing that I just did. Well, by the time you're hearing this, this will be yesterday. I'm recording it today, April 25th, but by the time you will be hearing this, it will be it will air on April 26th. So by the time you're hearing this, if you're hearing it on the day it is recorded, it'll be yesterday. If not, just know it's April 26th. So I set up an Eventbrite, created an account, registered for another one of Jen's webinars, and I set up my own Eventbrite page. And what I did was I did a webinar called 7 Steps, or not steps. Why do I keep saying steps? I don't know, and I've been writing this all day. But guys, I'm just keeping it real, okay? I am keeping it real. This is not scripted. I am telling you what happened and what I almost did that I ended up not doing. I didn't title it that. I kept wanting to send 7 steps out in emails. But anyway, the title of the webinar is called 7 Questions to Ask Yourself Before Launching a Podcast. And the reason I did this is because I know there are so many of you out there who may want to launch a podcast but don't know how to get started. I also did a blog post for Outlook Business Solutions. I think it was either 5 or 6 tips for starting your podcast. I'd have to go look and find the link, and it will be in the resource page that I'll send out if you do decide to sign up for the webinar. But in the show notes, I'll also leave an event link, the link to the Eventbrite page. And once you have registered, I will automatically get your email, and I will send out the Zoom invitation after you've registered, which I will definitely put in the show notes. So be paying attention to that. So upcoming goals this week, I'm going to get the presentation ready, the notes that I need to do, make sure all my questions are written the way I want them, make sure I find that link. But I'm also going to be holding another one at the end of June for Camp NaNoWriMo, and my daughter is actually going to be moderator because I asked her to do that. I'll tell you how I got her to do it, but still, we're gonna practice. She's gonna be my moderator for this one. So here's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna do one on how to get to know your characters, or 7 questions to ask yourself when you're introducing a new character in your story, or when you meet a new character, and how you can get to know the characters better, because I love character interviews, and that's one of the things that I would love to talk about. And so I encourage you, number 1, don't let fear hold you back. Just because you may think something is inaccessible. I learned that valuable lesson today, as a matter of fact, when I was in the writing Warriors for Jesus Weekend Warrior boot camp with Jen and Tish. Because at first I thought Eventbrite wasn't going to be accessible because I couldn't register for the event. But then I had to, I went in and had to figure out I had to sign up for Eventbrite to even register. And I didn't know this and I didn't figure that out. But once I signed up, I was able to register for another event, and I was able to create it with no problem. Now, Firefox, if you're using Mozilla Firefox and you are visually impaired and you have a screen reader, that can be a bit tricky because of the rich text area. You're not sure whether it's a description that you're writing or what is going on, and you can't really tell what you've done to know whether the description has been pasted like several times, which I actually did on Firefox. So I would suggest, I haven't tried this with Internet Explorer, but if you're using a screen reader like JAWS and you're visually impaired, now this is sighted folks, you guys can check this out too, but I would suggest you use Google Chrome, especially if you're on a PC. Now for Mac, you may find that it's easy too, but I suggest that you use Google Chrome for accessibility to Eventbrite, because otherwise you're going to have a bit of a problem or a bit of a faux pas when it comes to Firefox. So it is accessible, and I do encourage you to check out these new things. Like when someone tells you, when I tell you or I challenge you to go out there and do something like this, when I challenge you to start your own webinar, start your own, podcast or something, don't let fear hold you back just because of inaccessibility. Or when I pass on one of Jen's challenges to you, because I found out that I cannot let the perception of inaccessibility hold me back. I have to really sit and test it. Now, the first time I may think it's inaccessible, but I have to walk away from it and come back to it. And if you're like me and you've been challenged, you may want to back out, but I'm going to tell you now, the Holy Spirit will not let you back out. That is what is happening to me with this webinar. I was going to back out of it. I was going to say, no, I'm not going to be able to do this because I'm not going to be able to moderate. I'm not going to be able to do this, that, and the other. If you listen to Maxwell Ivy's What's Your Excuses show, or What's Your Excuse podcast, he would basically have to shoot that excuse down. And he's been talking to people who help you shoot these excuses down. And the reason I mention this is because it's kind of, we've kind of talked about this morning in the WWJs, because I listened to his podcast, the What's Your Excuse show. And one thing he says, and one thing he suggests to people is, if you don't ask for help, you will rob people of the joy of helping you. If you don't try, you'll rob yourself of the joy of succeeding. I want to take it that extra step further. So go out there, and I challenge you to, if you have a Zoom account, especially if those of you who have a professional account and who haven't done this before, go out there and try to create your own webinars using Eventbrite, and send me an invite, because I would love to see how you do it. If you want to test it out first, come and join mine, or come and join a lot of the free ones that are out there, because there's so many out there and you can actually see what they're doing and maybe learn a few tips. I wouldn't say completely use their ideas and strategies, but you can learn a few techniques along the way. So I've kind of learned by watching and listening to how other people do their webinars. And because I've been to several webinars, and I know that there are webinar clients out there like GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting, Webinar Jam, and some other things. Even excuse me, even StreamYard is a web-based streaming platform. If you have the Zoom Pro account, you can stream on YouTube and Facebook through that platform too. So I would say go out there and test the waters and see what works for you, see what's accessible. And if it's not accessible, go out there, contact these developers and let them know about it so they can possibly fix the problem. Okay, so that's my encouragement and my challenge to you. So you guys have a blessed day. Take care. Go out there and create something inspiring. Find your inspiration, whether it's reading, attending webinars, listening to podcasts, getting outside, even if you can't get away from your home during COVID-19. Go out there and find inspiration. Create something inspiring, and do share your creation with the world and tag me, because remember, when you touch one life, you touch 1,000. We all start at zero, and it just takes that one person to share what you've done with others, and that's how you touch many people's lives. So you guys go out there, take a leap of faith, walk by faith and not by fear. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and have a blessed weekend. And the next episode, unless I do one before then, the next episode will be an interview with Alexa Big Wharf. So stay tuned for that. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.